A warm welcome to all our esteemed panelists and all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you today to Entrepreneurship Bootcamp 0 to 1, How to Build the Future. Today's topic is the business of wellness. I would like to begin by welcoming Ms. Sheetal Kalro, Deputy Director General IMC, to give us the welcome address. Over to you, Sheetal.
Good morning. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome each and one of you to this interesting and exclusive series of the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp 0 to 1, How to Build Future, organized by the IMC Young Leaders Forum. Under this aegis of this series till date, we have organized various interesting talks on the business of EdTech, cryptocurrency, art, NFTs, and today, another interesting topic to understand the business of wellness. Wellness is being heralded as the sunrise industry of the 21st century. Rising consumer income, spending, and changing lifestyles has given rise to individual awareness and spending on wellness. Wellness is the overall fulfillment of an individual needs, which could range from basic physical health, nutrition, exercise, to esteem and aesthetic-based needs such as beauty, social lifestyle, mental and spiritual peace. Currently, both private and the public sector is increasingly moving away from a curative well-being to a preventive and lifestyle well-being by providing several services ranging from health-oriented hospitals, pharmacies, alternative therapies, to regeneration-based spas and yoga centers, scientifically designed gyms, and beauty-based salons and cosmetic procedures. Although Indian and foreign players are foraying into the industry, the potential still remains largely untapped, according to me. I believe that this industry has a robust system to tap and has sustainable and quite positive growth. Let's hear it from my expert speakers also today about the business of wellness. I would like to welcome Dr. Dipti Ghia, dermatosurgeon, Jaslok Hospital, Dr. Anish Seth, CEO, Dr. Shet Enterprises, Ms. Ashni Gajaria, co-founder, Meditors Health and Wellnesses, Mr. Nikhil Kapoor, founder, Atmanan Wellness Center, Mr. Weber Patel, the co-founder, Replay Physio. So the objective of today's event is to apprise the participants about the business of wellness, as it plays a very vital role for the sustainable growth, both as a human right and a contributor to economic growth. Before I conclude, let me brief you about IMC. The IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a premier chamber of commerce in the country with a rich legacy spanning well over 100 years of excellent service to trade, industry, and commerce. With its membership base of over 5,000 members, over 150 trade associations affiliated to it, the chamber comprises and advocates the industry of 400 businesses and industry establishments across the country. Through its various expert committees, IMC provides policy inputs for the government, both central and state. The chamber is now a cradle for nurturing young talents and promoting women through Young Leaders Forum, Ladies Wing, which has been an embodiment of youth enterprise positivity through proactive leadership such as today. I once again welcome you all to this exclusive session. I am sure you will leave the program stimulated and regenerated. Have a great day filled with learning and knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheetalji. I'd like to just welcome all the speakers again. Extremely happy to have with us Ashni, a firm believer in social welfare and empowerment. Ashni is the founding member and director at Meditours, India's first medical and wellness tourism company in the regenerative and holistic treatment space. Armed with a master's degree in marketing, strategy, and innovations from Cass Business School, she fulfills her responsibilities by helping individuals begin their journey towards good health and lead a more holistic lifestyle. Ashni and her team have worked relentlessly with the Ministry of External Affairs India Department of Health UAE, Ministry of Maldives, among others, to create awareness about various hostelic treatments that solve problems from the root cause. Also extremely happy to have with us Mr. Nikhil Kapoor. Nikhil, an Ironman triathlete, is the co-founder and director of Atmantan Wellness Center, which is a one-of-its-kind center offering result-oriented, health-based programs based on philosophy of integrated wellness to transform the lifestyle of its guests so that they can live healthier and happier lives. The luxury lifestyle magazine GQ awarded Nikhil as one of the 50 most influential young Indians in 2016. Atmantan is an award-winning wellness destination by itself. Nikhil is now also nurturing his new venture, Atmantan Naturals, which is a first, one-of-its-kind health tech venture in India, where healers guide individuals to bridge their nutritional gaps with the help of pure and natural herbal supplements. We also have with us, welcoming Dr. Anish Sheth, who's a PhD in pharmacology from Cornell University, and he started his beauty and wellness brand called Dr. Sheth's. Dr. Sheth's created specialized solutions for Indian skin, bringing 3 generations of dermatology research to its community. Anish has been cited as an expert by several leading publications, including Vogue, Elle, and Grazia. Also extremely privileged to have with us Mr. Vaibhav Patil, who's the co-founder of Replay Physio, a sports physiotherapist by profession. Replay Physio, a chain of sports and orthopedic physiotherapy clinics, specializes in strength coaching and return to sport after injury. He has been a physiotherapist and strength coach to Olympic champions like Abhinav Bindra and Amit Kumar. He has worked with the Mittal's Champion Trust, the Indian Olympic Association, Indian Wrestling Federation, and Indian boxing team as a sports physiotherapist at several international competitions, including the London Olympics. And lastly, extremely delighted to have with us Dr. Dipti Ghia, who would be moderating the session today. Dipti is a consultant dermatosurgeon at Jaslok Hospital, Mumbai, with various clinics in South Mumbai. She has over 12 years of experience in the field of dermatology and specializes in vitiligo surgeries. She's been awarded several prestigious awards from India, America, and European academies of dermatology. Dipti, do take it ahead from here.
Thank you, Vidhi, for these lovely introductions. And I mean, today's session is really interesting because we are here to discuss wellness business. And this is interesting session because especially some healthcare startups are due for listing in the next few months. So I'm sure everybody who's in the audience will have some good take-home messages from this. And if we look at the definition of wellness, it's, as Sheetalji just said, it's health beyond absence of disease. It's progressing to holistic well-being, and that's where we are heading towards. So as a doctor, as a dermatologist, now I don't really see every patient who, people who visit me are not just patients. There are a lot of people who are not having any diseases, but they want to look better. They want to feel better. So, this is where we all are headed. And I'm so happy that we have eminent panel of wellness experts with us today. So let's start this discussion. I'm going to, ask all of our panelists some questions which will help the audience to take it back. I'll start with Nikhil. So tell me that you're the founder of Atmantan Wellness. And a lot of other wellness businesses you're also doing. Can you tell me more about this?
Yes, namaste to everyone, and commendable that you all are organizing this discussion around business and wellness, because 10, 12 years back, when we were setting up our first venture, people used to actually ask, is there any business, that can come out of a wellness model? And look at it where it is today. There is tremendous amount of opportunities which are available, in various aspects of the wellness curve. We essentially started Atmantan because we felt that there was a big gap in availability of genuine holistic healthcare, integrated practices. There was absence, especially in the premium category. And that is how, we started off our journey with Atmantan, where we do a lot of preventive as well as curative programs. We have a large team of doctors, so we are very clinical in that sense, and there is a massive awareness which is there amongst the people as well today. And while in the cities, they try and eat healthy and they join gyms, when they are traveling, they want the destination also to be an extension of their lifestyle in the city which they are living. And that is where, wellness centers or wellness resorts come into the picture. Have I strayed away from your question, or am I still on track?
It's good. So you're just,
Okay.
I wanted to tell, tell us more about your ventures also.
Yeah. So we are basically, very passionate entrepreneurs who want to build a complete wellness ecosystem. Besides the fact that we have offline wellness centers in Atmantan, and then we have 1 or 2 tie-ups with other hotels as well in India, we are also setting up a big digital footprint. So one of our first ventures is something which, was mentioned in my introduction, which is Atmantan Naturals, which is a telemedicine plus, herbal supplement platform. We are also getting into the space of subscription-based meal service for clean eating. If there are any entrepreneurs in your audience, who are interested in this space, do connect with me, because I feel it's an extremely scalable business. So what we are basically trying to do is, you have sometimes people who can travel to wellness centers, and those are much more controlled environments. So you can get fabulous results. But at the same time, there is a whole digital revolution happening. So people can also embark on their health journey sitting in their house, and that is where the digital models come into play. So that is basically, so we are, trying to focus on a few things and build an ecosystem in that sense. Okay,
that's great. So that was really good about what we are talking about in the wellness sector. But now let's move to Ashni. Ashni, you're the co-founder of Meditours Health and Wellness. Can you tell me about your journey as an entrepreneur?
Thanks, Dipti, and thanks everyone for taking your time today. So basically, Dipti, what we do is get international patients to come down for treatment, may that be in the regenerative or the wellness space. What we have realized is people often travel for leisure and for work, but now because people have become more health conscious, and even the pandemic has helped people realize what's most important is their health over anything. They're looking for holidays where they can just detox, rejuvenate, de-stress, because the actual epidemic is the burnout. It could be burnout because of education. It could be burnout because of work. It could be a digital burnout. People are burning out very easily. So we actually want to inculcate a culture wherein people solve problems holistically from the root cause, because if you solve problems superficially, it will be done superficially, but it doesn't actually solve the problem from the root cause. We want them to start their journey early on, so it becomes a lifestyle.
So that's really good. And in that same extension, I would like to ask Weber, as as a physiotherapist and the founder of Replay Physio, can you tell us more about your journey?
Sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you for this platform. I am actually an athlete by heart, a physiotherapist by profession, and an entrepreneur by chance. So entrepreneurship was not really that I got into the profession for, but it has just happened by chance. So I work with a lot of athletes, and what I see is that what I've seen in the past traveling with international teams, etc., is that there's a very structured approach, towards treating an athlete or getting the best out of him. And when I actually came into practice out of the sports arena, we figured that every individual is an athlete in their own field. Be it be a corporate guy, be it be a teacher, be it be anybody, they want to perform to their best in their own field. So this is where the whole idea of replay came into, like the name suggests. So whenever you're out of your play, we help you get back. So the name came out of that. So it's replay. So anybody who's got any aches and pains, I was just talking to Deepthi yesterday. So my logic was very simple. Anybody who uses Volini is my potential client. So So we basically run a sports physiotherapy and orthopedic chain of clinics in Bombay. We are at 6 locations at the moment, and yeah, we are helping make people's life better in a structured way, getting the organized structure of an athlete's life into each and every individual's life. So yeah,
Great.
that's a bit small.
Yes,
Bit
that's
of our
very
journey.
interesting. I think that's where wellness is, na? No colonies, not, you know, that's great. So
Yes.
we'll then go to Anish. You're the CEO of Dr. Sheth Enterprises. Can you tell us more about your journey and how you came up with this?
Sure. So I kind of inherited my journey. My mother, Dr. Rekha Sheth, was a very, very famous cosmetic dermatologist. My grandfather, Dr. Sharad Desai, was also a very celebrated dermatologist. I'm a pharmacist and a pharmacologist. And so I think it was in the best interests that I don't give Botox to people. So I decided to launch a product line. I've always been passionate about creating things and, formulating and sort of offering a solution that's meant for people, more customized than what is currently available in the market. And given that we had our expertise on Indian skin, and Indian skin is very different, both from a biological point of view as well as from an environmental point of view. And given that no one really has that level of exhaustive experience on Indian skin, we wanted to make it more accessible to several consumers, whether it's, through skin products, taking certain natural supplements, and the idea is, of course, connecting with other professionals to offer the customer a complete holistic solution. It's the way that healthcare is set up right now has a little bit of limitations in the sense that, when you have a shoulder ache, you go to a physiotherapist, whereas if you have, kidney disease, you go to a nephrologist. And I think particularly in the face of wellness, where overall health tends to be at a baseline level, it's easier to offer a customer an entire experience, so partner with people virtually, whether it's a nutritionist, whether it's a physical therapist, whether it's a trainer, a mental health counselor, in order to get to the most comfortable place that you can be, given the circumstances.
So that's really interesting. I've been lucky enough to work with Dr. Rekha Sheth, and it was an absolute privilege. And I think that thing about Indian skin is very, very important as a dermatologist myself, because most people, they want to pick products from abroad and think they'll do, but they really don't do well with it. What is designed for Indian skin will really work well for Indian skin. So I think that's really good. Now, I think all of y'all are having some special, qualities which I'm going to bring these things out. Like Ashni, as a young, woman entrepreneur, it's really inspiring for everybody that you're young and a woman and you started this whole journey. Can you tell us more about it? Like, how was your journey being, with so special?
Thank you, Dipti. Firstly, I would like to say it's not possible without my co-founder and teamwork. I wouldn't take the ownership completely to myself. It's obviously a collaborative effort. But I would not say it's an easy journey. I think all entrepreneurs know that entrepreneurship in general is difficult. You have your challenges, you have your ups and downs. But that's what, as a woman entrepreneur, I did not face any gender biases. So I wouldn't want to go down the feminism route because I did not face any gender biases. I faced more of an age bias. People thought I was young. I faced more of the culture biases and the diversity biases because there were language barriers. I was dealing with international markets. There were stigmas around conditions like autism and other things. So there were different challenges out there. Working in a very unorganized sector, medical and wellness tourism is not an organized sector. There weren't too many competitive benchmarks to look out for. So there were different challenges, but what I would like to tell everyone is hardships and experiences is what actually frames us as people. If we got everything easy, we won't really appreciate it. So what actually frames us as a human being is those hardships, because that helps us move forward, right? How we overcome them and then see the light at the end of the tunnel, because there's always spring after winter, we say.
Yes, that's really interesting. And, I would just like to share my experience also. Like when I completed my MD as a dermatologist, like luckily I did it from the city where I was born and brought up. So everything was in Mumbai. And the minute I completed, I started getting relatives coming and consulting, at home. And I just realized that instead of even getting any consultancy fees, I was serving them tea and snacks. And that's when I realized that I really need to start seeing somewhere. And, I started off with just being a consultant at a polyclinic close by from home. And then, I realized that, things need to grow. So, I mean, even as a woman, I really didn't feel that I felt any gender bias at all. In fact, I've taken it all as an advantage to me in my field. It works very well for me. So, I mean, things and times are changing. So we should all look forward to it. Now let's get Anish. You've been like a scientist, more of pharmacology as your field, and suddenly now you've gone into a business, aspect. You've, you're into it. Can you tell me how this transition was, to get into business?
So I've always been interested in science. I think that I never will sort of give that up. And I don't think what I'm doing is like poles apart, because I'm still quite involved in the formulation process and, the product creation process, specifically when it comes to our products. And I'm sort of in between business and science, which is where I've always liked to sit. I think that, yes, I've learned a lot more in business than probably the science part of it, and I think that's what really motivates me, is because there's always something new to learn, and there's always something, and the field is so rapidly evolving, both on a scientific front as well as on a business front, right? There's new technologies, there's new mediums of distribution. It's like you just about get used to like Instagram, and then TikTok happens. It's kind of like, and then you're like convinced that there's like this molecule which is the gold standard, and then you realize that there's like 100 other molecules in the pipeline right now that are coming out that sort of capitalize on that. So it's great. I think it's a great time to be in the right time or right place. It also requires a lot of mental bandwidth and a lot of what's the word, like in Bollywood, they say this character has a double role. So it's literally like one day you're wearing like the scientist outfit with the lab coat, and the next day you're wearing like the businessman suit. I never wear suits, but in theory, one would assume that a businessman wears suits.
Yes. So we all have to multitask. That's
Yeah.
important. So Nikhil, you are an athlete, a sports nutritionist, and which is superb, and you're actually into Atmantan and into the wellness business. So like you're actually practicing what you're preaching. So tell us, how do you do this, and how do you make it a business of what you like, what is your passion?
You see, as I've always been, very active on the sports front. The inspiration is my father, who's played squash for India, and then he was also in the badminton team for Punjab as in the junior team. So we have grown up in a household where fitness has very naturally inspired us, actually. Without being forced upon us, we used to just see our dad do stuff, and both me and my sister, we used to just naturally pick up games, and touch wood, I think we are fairly reasonably fine in some of the games. Now, like how every athlete needs to improve their play, they need to enhance not only their physical form, but they need to work on their mental and spiritual form as well. So I feel this entire journey of me on my individual level as an athlete has helped me further refine many qualities which you need to basically have as a leader of a team. Like for example, resilience can be one. There is like how Ashni also mentioned that the journey for an entrepreneur is like a sine curve. It's a fabulous journey. You have many highs, but there are certain lows, and lows is when you need to further dig deep and come out of it, because there is a brighter future. So I feel that there is tremendous amount of enhancement that I have had as a leader with the games that I play. That is number one. Me having studied sports nutrition always is good, because at Atmantan we look at doing things which are more evidence based, which are more structured. You see, because today consumers are well traveled, they are well educated. There is so much of information available today nowadays that people have a reasonable amount of understanding about their own health condition, and that is why when they come to people like us, they expect everything to be very methodical and accurate. So I think by virtue of the fact that I do have a background in nutrition, it really helps us refine the kind of processes which we have in the organization. It refines the kind of programs which we have. And I feel that if the core team, especially the leadership team, has the technical knowledge, I think it just really helps you deliver finer products. So yeah.
I think it's really important that even when you are getting into the wellness sector, you have people who are driven towards it, and who have that passion and knowledge about it, which will help the business to grow even better. So I think, Vaibhav, you are a doctor and an athlete, and you're doing the business also. So you're like all of it together. So can you tell me more about how this transition has been for you? You're on mute.
Yes, got it. Yeah, so for me, I think I will exactly back to what Nikhil and Ashni have spoken, is for me, the line of reference is the life of an athlete. Every low, I go back, what would I as an athlete do when I was doing bad in my sport? I would come back, I would strive harder to re-strategize it and come back. So I think all the pushes and all the lows that we've had ever in our entire journey, I think I've always gone back to the athlete in me. And in fact, my other co-founder Tapan, I think it would have not happened without his collaboration as well. He's also an athlete. He's a judo player. I've played water polo and I've been a national swimmer. So we are a great combination of a team sport leader and individual sport leader. So we have a different set of soft skills which sort of bring together as we don't know, are we still trained to be entrepreneurs? But I guess we are running a show, so we can say that we have a certain few skill sets of running a business per se. But excellence, like as an athlete, I have to give my best. And for me to give my best, I have to sharpen my skills. So to sharpen my skills, we also run an academy to train physios constantly, so that there's standardization in our practice. And so all that goes into, I'm telling you, I mean, I should thank my coach actually, who's trained me to swim and to play water polo. And that's my Bible to actually run this show, honestly.
I think that's amazing. And that point of, how you train other physiotherapists is very important, because when you have young people also with you, you kind of keep, evolving as a person. That's really good. So, we have a good, very, audience who would like to know that what is the opportunities currently available in the wellness sector. I'll start with you, Anish. If you can tell us more about what, how people can take this business, and what do you think is the future?
So I think the opportunities, I mean, a pretty broad word. So I'll start with, in terms of new business idea opportunities, it's actually an amazing time. Because I think the way we deliver healthcare, whether it's through products, whether through services, whether through both, various different hybrid models are sort of being experimented with. And once you do your research, you figure out which one you have the most conviction for and you believe is the right one for you. And that's a great way to sort of narrow down on a business idea, especially like if you're starting up a business. In terms of other opportunities, there are already businesses at different stages of their journey, right? So really looking at what your skill sets are, what your interests are, I'm pretty sure that most people would hire someone, who's more enthusiastic, about learning, because I think in any, at least in an early stage company, you can't really be a specialist in one, specific vertical, right? Like you can't be, I don't know, only a formulation scientist, right? You have to be a formulation scientist. You have to manage the pipeline. You have to look at the supply chain. You have to look at marketing data, take all these insights, and then sort of come up with a plan. So I think like really it's working with an early stage company is a great way to figure out what kind of strengths you have, what kind of weaknesses you have. And there's nothing like reality to kind of put you in your place, because a lot of people may think that like they're really good at XYZ, but when you're faced with that situation repeatedly, you realize that, perhaps I need to work on this more. And, this is something that I didn't realize I was good at, but I am good at. So, yeah, I think the opportunity is just what you make yourself, what you make it out to be, and what you want to get out of it. I think.
So I think the drive is the most important thing of what you want, and then there are a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, at least in an early stage company. I mean, but specifically like when it comes to products, it's obviously as a dermatologist, you probably don't want to figure out, why shipments are getting delayed, because it's probably not your skill set. But I mean, in general, I'm talking about people who've, freshly graduated of colleges, MBA programs, master's programs. It really is what you make yourself, what you make it out to be.
Got it. So Vaibhav, can you tell me what do you think is the opportunity in physio, and like, in that sector, what are the opportunities there?
Sure. So I think the kind of awareness today that is there is amazing. Like, I mean, 6 years or 7 years down the line, I had to explain people what posture was, what the spine curvatures are. Today, people walk into my clinic and tell me, I want to improve my posture. So that's the kind of awareness that has come in. So I feel there is opportunity everywhere. People are in pain. They need to, it's not a pleasurable experience. Being in pain is like walking with the baggage. And honestly, it's very, very irritating. I'm sure everybody on this floor has had some kind of pain at some point, whether athlete, non-athlete, whatever profession you guys are. And it takes a big part of your brain, and it keeps it occupied to deal with that pain. So I think opportunity is everywhere. But the only thing that is sort of now needing the attention is the organizing of this entire segment. So which is what we are focusing on. We're trying to collaborate. I think it's the world of collaboration, making people aware about what exactly is what you do, making them understand how you look at a problem, how you treat what is that one should expect when you see me. Right? There's always a question when to see a physio, when to see an ortho. So most of our today we're trying to not create opportunities, but trying to educate people on when to reach us.
Got it.
Right? So there's more clarity.
Yes, I think that's me. Ashni, will you tell me, in the medical tourism sector, what do you think? How do you feel that the opportunities are there?
So Dr. Dipti, I would say that India has definitely made a mark on the global map in terms of medicine, healthcare, vaccine, for that matter of fact, right? People have realized the skill sets that India has. Initially, a lot of people would go to the West for treatments and realize that Indian doctors are treating them. So now they're like, why shouldn't they come to India and get treated by Indian doctors in the home country instead of spending exorbitant amounts in the UK or the US, and they're getting treated by Indian doctors. Something as simple as Ayurveda and yoga, which originated in India, the West has made famous. But people are like, it's originated in India. Let's come back to the roots where it's originated and experience it from where it's come, right? People want to go down to the drawing board and see and experience things from where they have originated. I think the conversation has completely changed. in that standpoint. And I also would say that when you talk about opportunity, I have learned this in my time. Don't sell a product or a service. I know we're all in business and we want to sell a product or a service, but sell a real problem. Sell what you're actually solving for. Because once you start selling a real problem and what you're solving for, your product or service, whatever it may be, will automatically sell. So just sell the real problem, solve for the real problem.
That's really inspiring that you're saying that you have to, I mean, it's like, opening eyes to different, looking at it from a different perspective. So Nikhil, you already mentioned that you have so many, options for people who are there. Why don't you tell us more about what are the opportunities for in the wellness sector? You're on mute.
Yeah. You see, there are a lot of opportunities. There are three key opportunities which we are tracking because I feel there is a lot of upside over here. Number one is wellness hospitality. There are a lot of existing hotels which want to convert themselves into a wellness resort or a wellness center. These are locations where there are too many hotel rooms. Like for example, a Goa, or there are many hill stations where there are just rooms. And the hotelier is not able to differentiate himself, so people are looking at wellness as a differentiator and experience. That is number one. So I feel, there is a good opportunity for small wellness resorts or wellness centers, which are maybe in the 40 to 50 room kind of a property. That is number one. Number two, I think there's tremendous amount of opportunities in food. Indians love food, and if the food is tasty and healthy, I think there is an absolute brilliant story over there. We ourselves are in herbal supplements now, but I feel there is a big opportunity in fortified foods, and also we are getting into clean eating in the form of cloud kitchens. So that's a subscription-based service. So I think there is a a lot of opportunities around food. The third, space which we are monitoring, we don't have a plan over there, is devices, wearables. And here what I want to share is that you don't need to own the technology, but I see a lot of companies who are taking somebody's technology but wrapping a fabulous service around that. Very similar to what maybe Anish spoke, in terms of slightly hybrid model, So I know of companies who have maybe raised money as well because they have taken a device of from some other company, but they are able to then deliver and solve a problem. Very similar to what Ashni said, you can have X number of devices, but if you're not solving a problem or you have not put your story correctly, nobody's going to buy it. So I think these are the three things: wellness, hospitality, food, as well as devices or wearables. So these are three, I think, opportunities.
I think they are really, crisp points where we can take home that where is the opportunity. Also, as you mentioned about telemedicine, like COVID around the corner, I think a lot of, people have been able to modify their businesses, and, telemedicine has come in and it's got regularized. So, things are just changing overnight. I think these last few years of 2 years of COVID have really changed the way we are doing things. And, how as a doctor myself, I've started treating people even abroad or anywhere with the help of, just a simple WhatsApp. I can, see their pictures in advance. I can do a video connect with them. So things are moving, and we should, look at newer opportunities. With that, let's move to the current trends. See, all of you all are like trendsetters for the wellness business. So I'm going to ask you, Weber, that what do you think is the next trend which is going to be?
So yes, digitalization is the trend and what's catching up. You don't need to, we are working on a model where very soon you will not need to come to the clinic for me to really evaluate your issues and tell you what you're doing. And, there will be a lot of remote monitoring that can happen. So that's going to pick up, and it's in, telemedicine along with this entire e-business, e-physio, what we call it now, is going to be the next catching on trend. We are working on that model. I think shortly we will come out with that, but I think that's going to be the next big thing for sure.
Nikhil, can you tell me what do you think is the newer trend that's going to come?
I feel the adaptation of wearables and devices is something which has our attention for the last 2-3 years. I feel with every passing year, we feel, a lot more is going to happen around this space. And I think keeping in mind the last 18 months, I think there are a lot of people who are working in the space of being able to monitor key parameters of their clients while they are in their house, along with the telemedicine platform. But then you need certain data also, which can get analyzed and tracked, and benchmarks can be set, so that people know how are they performing okay or not okay. So I feel, for us, we are also trying to do a pilot for, certain devices when guests stay with us, because typically, guests stay with us for 2 weeks plus. So that's a fair amount of period for us to pick up data points. So I feel that, sophistication in devices and the services being offered around that is something which is really, really huge.
Okay. Anish, what do you think about the current trends in, the skin business per se as a application?
Yeah, so I think I'm just going to take a little bit of what my two previous speakers said before me. I definitely think tech and data are going to be the forefront of things. I definitely think that a screen is going to give you much more access to than just a single physician or a single provider. But I also think that adding to this is the entire idea that, at least in terms of skin and wellness, it's not going to be just about putting a cream on your face anymore, right? It's about what you consume, how you work out, what your sun exposure is like. And, like the more details we get in terms of, our customers or our communities, the more we are able to personalize things for them, whether it's their response to certain, medications, or whether it's, that this person is not exposed to that much UV basis, the UV experiment that they did, with the UV camera over the last 6 days, and like finding the right product also takes a lot of trial out of the process of trial and error. And I think in general, like I'm 100%, with I think most people on this panel, in the sense that technology is going to revolutionize the way we consume healthcare, that we accept healthcare, not just for a wellness perspective, but also for a curative perspective.
Got it. So Ashni, what is your take on this?
So I completely agree with what the other panelists said. So I wouldn't want to repeat those points, but I think people are moving into a more preventive space than a more curative space. They don't want to solve problems when the illness or the condition hits. They started realizing that they need to start working towards a more preventive space where they don't have to get cancer, or they don't need to get a lifestyle condition like blood pressure, diabetes, etc. And Dr. Anish rightly said it's a combination of your gut, your nutrition, your mental well-being, emotional well-being, physical well-being, everything, right? And I think in the current situation that we are in, people are skeptical about traveling. So wellness travel is going to be the next justification as to why people would want to travel. They're like, oh, but we're traveling for our health, right? So it's good for us. Because see, work travel will lead to a burnout. Leisure travel is great, but in the current situation, people are skeptical, keeping things in mind. And we're all hoping for a brighter side in the travel and tourism industry, as well as the hospitality industry. But wellness travel is going to see a very, very, very big trend, is what I feel. It's because people will now justify that they're traveling for their health. It could be as simple as just de-stressing themselves, or just rejuvenating themselves, or weight management, or anything. So I think the two biggest trends I see is preventive care and wellness travel being the next thing.
So that's like a really good take-home message for all of us, where all of y'all have given us points of what the trend is going to be. I'm going to take some questions, because I think I've got some important, really interesting questions from the audience. That there's a question from Anish, and Anish only can take it. That is there any support or a scheme from the government to start this business? Do you get when you're making formulation? So is there any government schemes with support?
So particularly in our business, I don't think there are. There are schemes, I think, to open factories in certain parts, special economic zones kind of things, to incentivize pharma factories, to be a pocket of pharma factories and say, Baddi, there would be a scheme there. In terms of tax benefits, I don't know of any, and that's probably because we don't make hardcore pharmaceuticals. So I don't know. I think the others can
Yes.
probably add more
Yeah,
light onto
Nikhil.
this.
Yes. You can take it, Nikhil.
Yeah, thanks. So you see, if there are many schemes announced by Ayush Ministry when it comes to setting up a wellness centers. Ayush Ministry is a great move by the government, though I feel they still need a lot more budget allocation, but there are certain monetary incentives which have been announced, especially for people who want to set up wellness centers or Ayush clinics. So do look up over there and try and see if that suits you.
Okay. So that's interesting. There's one more question. Is from Deepak Gupta, and that what are the challenges in scaling up with business, given a lot of healthcare businesses are built on individuality of the medical practitioner who has built trust with clients over a period of time. So I think Weber, you can take this question.
So, well, the answer is in the question itself. It is a challenge. I mean, that is where the standardization of practice makes it. That is the actual reason why we started our own academy, so that nobody's special. It is the process that is special. It is the entire operating module that is special. It doesn't matter who treats you. It's how you've been treated and what is the methodology followed behind that. So I think if you are able to strongly abide by your SOP well, and there is always a collaborative involvement of different people into treating one person, where each one takes up their expertise, the process will always sort of be of value.
Yeah.
But if
Yes.
everything is done by one individual and he becomes the entire giver, then obviously the challenge becomes more there. Having said so, I mean, it is a service industry. It is a very, very individual and very personalized care. Tomorrow, if somebody's mood is not right, it's back to the it goes back on the brand. But I guess if your SOPs are sorted, I'm sure a fair percentage of your problems solved.
Yeah, so I think I do have a good take home message from this, because it's when in my practice, it's all about me. I always try to go around it, try to make protocols, but this is where we all need to learn. And Ashni, would you like to contribute in this, because you work with a lot of specialists? So I think that model which you have, where you have specialists on board and you be the guide to take people wherever they need, I think that's very interesting.
Thanks, Dr. Dipti. So Dr. Dipti would definitely add to what Weber said. It's become a very collaborative business. It's about building community, right? So if we as experts or even consumers realize that our end goal is just to be healthy, how do we achieve that health, like that end goal of being healthy? And just get the right people at the right time, at the right place, and just give them the freedom to kind of decentralize instead of trying to control everything. I think as human beings, we love controlling everything. And as founders, we're so close to our business and so close to our business idea. And we want everything to be on brand. We want everything to be correct. We want everything to be aesthetic. We want everything to be correct in all possible ways, like politically correct, what we say, what we showcase, what we speak. Anything goes wrong, we personally get upset more than anything else. I think we learn from our mistakes and it's fine, right? Just make it collaborative, make it a community-driven environment. And like I said, it is a challenge because there are a lot of therapists, etc., special educators, wellness experts, yoga experts who have the skill sets, and you need those skill sets to get the best output, right? Because they are experts and they have taken X number of years to actually build it to that level of knowledge. And I shouldn't take that away from anybody. and you would need them, but I don't know. I think we need to find a way, and probably tech could help us to make it more like reach the masses instead of making it more individualistic. But I think that's something we all are trying to solve for even today.
Now, I'll take the next question. It's a very interesting question. I think any of y'all can take it. That wellness needs to be a target, needs to be target oriented. Anything has to have like targets. So what tools do you use to evaluate the need and achievement of wellness as a business? This is from Nikhil only. So
no, I think that's a different Nikhil.
Oh, so then Nikhil, you can take this question.
I will, let me share my 2 bits of how we do it at Atmantan, and then maybe the others can contribute as well. You see, consumers demand results, be it wellness or non-wellness, right? At the end of the day, they are showing some faith in holistic practices, and that is why they're coming. So what we do at Atmantan is that we do very extensive pre-screening before a guest signs up for a program. And this pre-screening on their health profile, which also includes evaluating their medical reports, gives us a very good opportunity to set a goal and an expectation for the client. That is number one. So then is that, say, for example, we do take this admission for this case, then the guest is staying with us. Then we are monitoring as well. There are many illnesses or ailments where we can do certain checking of blood parameters or blood markers on a weekly basis. And otherwise what happens is that when the guest goes back, they sign up for an aftercare program with us, and they continue to see their improvement after 30 days, after 60 days, 90 days, and so on and so forth. So if the guest is motivated, then we have a fair amount of tools to show them that how these particular protocols are helping them improve their health. So some can be immediately shown in a slightly shorter period of time. And of course, there are certain markers depending upon your ailment or condition, which can be shown over a period of 30 days or 90 days. Yeah.
Wow, I think this is like such a good thing. All of us must be tempted to go and visit Atmantan with this, such a good, being scientific, if you're going to give me evidences also of how things are improving for me, that's amazing. Vaibhav, would you like to? Vaibhav, would you like to?
Yeah, so assessments, basically they set your targets, your assessments and your goals. So in fact, when a patient walks in, we have our clinic outcome measures where we, based on their assessments and based on what their ailments are, we have a set of outcome measures where we say, okay, in the phase 1 of treatment, this is what we will help you achieve, right? If it's an athlete, we say this is how we'll help you perform. So I think for me, targets is reaching their goals first. And then, we believe in a very simple, we don't spend on marketing. We don't do any kind of that bit. We say our patients are our brand ambassadors.
Got it.
That's our very, very strong logic. So if we're able to help them meet their goals, I think they help us by default meet our goals, So
Got
it. On paper, we have a few statistics where we say, okay, we have to have this clinic optimally be run at a certain number, etc. But I think what we've seen is it's only a byproduct of me helping people meet their goals first. So I guess that's our major focus area.
Yeah. Okay. So, I want to add something here. Like,
yes,
of course, a lot of oriented, and we want to achieve things and we want to set targets. But sometimes the targets are not met, and we kind of beat ourselves up because of it, which affects our mental well-being, affects our physical well-being. And we're talking about wellness here, right? And as entrepreneurs, we always, again, and even as consumers, sometimes we don't meet targets. It's fine. It's okay. You won't meet it in 3 months. You probably will meet it in 6 months. You will eventually meet it. Set smaller goals that reach to the larger goal. Like, don't beat yourself so much. It's good to set milestones. I would say smaller stepping stones that reach the larger goal. But sometimes it's fine not to go so crazy about targets, statistics, achievements. It's okay. Take easy steps. Take each day as it comes. Do it. I'm not saying don't set it, but don't beat yourself to it.
Got it.
I think I would agree.
Dr. Anish, would you like to say anything?
I think I'm in agreement.
When you look at it from your product line, like how do you, match it to, other, big pharmaceutical giants, and how do you do this?
So I think there is the more formal way of doing it, which is, doing large scale clinical trials to understand whether the formulation has an impact or not. And then you have various tools to assess whether what you're measuring is what you're claiming. But I think from a consumer point of view, they don't really care about that. They're simple, like their questions are more direct, like mera pigmentation jayega, mera acne jayega. They don't really care, if the melasma is affected and the freckles are not, or, the acne is affected, but the PIH, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, is not. And so we take a more, I'd say, junior version in order to demonstrate results. Given the resources and the bandwidth that we have, we kind of work with the clinic to, establish what is a positive outcome and sort of go in line with that. Like from a product, this is what you can expect in this specific amount of time. Yes. And, you assume that, and one part of it is where there's a consumer study where you assume that the customer does whatever he does in his daily life. He may be using sunscreen, he may not be using sunscreen. And the other aspect is more control, where you tell the customer, use sunscreen every day. If you're using this new vitamin C serum, make sure that you moisturize at night. And that's essentially, a nutshell of how we take, like, we sort of bridge the, make the complicated process a little more, I'd say, like Jugaadi, because we don't have the resources, and neither do we make the claims that this is going to give you like 80% hydration for like 65 hours or something like that. We're pretty sure, like, our customers speak for ourselves, and I think that's in terms of results.
So, I mean, we have just come to the end of our session, but before that, I'm going to take this very interesting question from Deepak Gupta. It says that, health as a field, there is an expectation of philanthropy from this sector. And given there is a vast proportion of population who needs treatment or even, betterment, because there are a lot of people who would be burning out. And so how can, how do we address this vast population who needs treatment but cannot, afford it?
I just want to share something over here. Very interesting,
Yes.
and it's a fabulous question. You see, around 6 years back, when we started our wellness center in a village which is closer to Pune and Mumbai, we were having a meeting with the village headman, and I said that, look, I've got a whole infrastructure and a team of doctors over here. What can we do to solve your health problems? And he says, look, we don't fall ill. Typically, we always live till the age of 100 in the village. But what you can help me with is education. And that is something which we have not really been able to help him out for a few reasons. But just fast forward now 6 years, there is a lot of migration which is happening from the villages to the cities, and people are now traveling, working. And when we were meeting the health officer in our in our area, he observed that there is a 15-20% increase in diabetes cases and hypertension cases in the villages. These are things which typically, the rural folk never had because of the lifestyle they're living. So yes, there is an opportunity. We are trying to set up an Ayush clinic in the primary health clinic over there. But I feel, there's lots more, which can be done. Like our Prime Minister said that if one member of every household starts doing yoga, maybe there'll be no disease in India. So I think it's, so those were my just passing thoughts. I just thought I'll share with you, but yeah, open to others as well,
Yeah.
Yes, Ashni.
So Dr. Dipti, actually, we started on a philanthropic note. It was actually read an article in The Guardian about a Bangladeshi family asking for mercy killing for their own children who had muscular dystrophy. It's not wellness related, but it was health related. And we just reached out to the Minister of External Affairs, got their passports made, got their medical visas, and Air India contributed in helping them fly them down to India. And then we took them on and did the treatment for absolutely no cost, right? So you need to see how severe the situations are. And then even as an organization, we always ask for documentation proof of people who cannot afford it. And the ones who cannot afford it, we go to whatever extent we can to help them out. So hence, we do a lot of work with ministries internationally, because there are a lot of people who genuinely can't afford it but need the treatment. And they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel because it's just driven because of finances, and they don't know what to do, and they're given up hope. They've gone through multiple treatments, the poor children, or even the patient is treated like a guinea pig. Unfortunately, everyone tells them this is the best for you, this will be the outcome, and after a point, so is the patient, so is the parent, so done with it. There's like, you know what, this is doomsday for us. We've covered earth for this. Let's just live with it. It's actually sad, and sometimes even mind-boggling. But I think the best you can do as an organization, and I think that's personally worked for us at Veritas, is done a lot of work with the ministry, and you'll be surprised they're actually supportive. They're very, very supportive.
Wow. That's really commendable what you shared. It's really good. Anybody, Weber, would you like to contribute? How
Yes,
do you?
I think education is something which is more important than delivering the service, really. So creating that awareness, making people aware about just how simple exercises can help prevent issues than really, treat them. I mean, osteoarthritis, spine issues are very, very common. In fact, everybody in every house there is somebody who has got, and it's I mean, age related issues. So we are going to go through all of that. So if we can, in fact, we have like I told you, we have an academy which we train people. We train physios, we train trainers, we train people involved in movement science, and we help them educate how to also not only uh, teach exercise, but also how to make people aware of what issues they're having, so that they can reach out to the right people. So I think education and educating the right uh, and creating the right awareness is what is required, more than really
Right.
treating the person. Yeah.
Yes. So education is really empowering.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll just last ask Anish also, how do you think, where can you be a part of, how to help the sector which really needs help?
So I think my mom was a big proponent of this, and she sort of inculcated that practice. Particularly the beauty industry is a particular industry where you see a lot of women who come from various kinds of homes, various kinds of levels of privilege, and it allows them a level of independence that I think being a woman in India is not easy, especially when you're not privileged. And I think creating beauticians is something that she sort of started when she started with the CSI, which is became the CDSI. And I think that is kind of where we want to focus in the future, once we get to a level where we're able to rehabilitate and contribute to make a self-sustaining woman. And I think that that's something that I'm very passionate about, like educating people and giving them the kind of the situation where you give a man a fish, he'll eat for so many days. You teach a man to fish, and he'll be, he won't be hungry forever. So
Yeah.
I think, like, especially in the beauty industry, when it comes to women, it's almost different because it's not just an industry. It's almost it's kind of like sanctuary in many ways. Where people go to their beauty parlor either to escape from their husbands, to escape from their kids, to whether to be to be an employee or to be a client. In both cases.
Got it.
So I think in that sense, there's a lot of potential, that I see happening in the area for
Yes.
redevelopment.
That's really good. And I really have been part of that whole journey, which you said, like we are the part of dermatologists who've trained under Dr. Rekha Seth, who has, got cosmetology in India for dermatologists. Otherwise, we were all only treating diseases and itches, and we never looked into this aspect. But the wellness component, I think Dr. Rekha Seth has been a very big contributor for all of us as a dermatology community. So that's really commendable. And with that, I think I'm going to just close the session, because it's been really amazing. I learned a lot. I think I'm going to put a few new things which I have learned from all of you. Thank you so much for sharing your inputs so nicely. And
thank you so much, Dipti. It's been an absolute pleasure and extremely informative session. I'd just like to tell Shardul, who's my co-chair for AMC-YLF, to give the vote of thanks for this amazingly informative session.
Thank you so much, Vidhi. Respected President of Indian Merchants Chamber in absentia, respected all the senior dignitaries of IMC, respected Ms. Vidhi, the chairperson of YLF at IMC, respected all the committee members of YLF, and my dear friends. At the outside, I must thank our moderator or the anchor of the session, Dr. Deepti Ghia. I think she has done a commendable job moderating this very, very interesting topic on wellness. It is so interesting, friends, that I was just reading a McKinsey report on wellness, and it said that in 2021, people have spent more than $1.5 trillion on wellness and wellness goods and services, and they expect this figure to almost go up by more than 20% in the calendar year 2022. So this is the, even if we consider that although India is a small part of the entire this portion of the amount, but there is huge opportunity, I think, on whatever was deliberated today. And I must especially thank Nikhil Kapoorji. I was, before we actually spoke here, when I was, thinking about the places to visit because of the pandemic, and, just to get something out of the box, the first thing after my research was Antmantan. And I kindly request Vidhi, a one-day trip or maybe one overnight trip can be organized under your leadership as chairman of YLF to a place like Antmantan. And really, there's so much to learn. And as Nikhil rightly mentioned, right from going to the villages, and there is so much there to get for. And I'm really thankful, Nikhil, for you sparing your valuable time today and being available with your very wonderful views. And, the kind of discussion which you spoke about, the preventive measures, the curative, the massive awareness which you have been also trying to create through education is something which we really appreciate. Thank you so much once again, Nikhil, for coming to YLF and sparing your valuable time. I would also like to thank Ashni Gajaria. Ashni, thank you so much. You have been such an inspiration for all the young women and all the listeners present here today, including myself. And the kind of opportunity and the kind of enthusiasm with which you have spoken is something which I must acknowledge. And I wish and pray that you go and reach much higher heights. And definitely there's huge bit of opportunity in medical tourism, and to get international patients, and each of them from a different culture and each of them from a different mindset, and ultimately treating them and to get a smile on their face. Thank you so much, Ashni, for whatever you're doing.
Thank you.
Please keep up with the good work. And I request you once again, if you can also become part of YLF, and believe me, under the leadership of Vidhi, we will be able to see much more newer dimensions of all of you. Thank you, Dr. Vaibhav. Vaibhav, you have been a great, you have been a friend to me, and I've seen your zeal for enthusiasm for entrepreneurship. And although coming from a sports background, becoming a great doctor, and now venturing into entrepreneurship, I think you have a great future ahead. Whatever best support and wherever we can help you, we will ensure that also through the platform of IMC. Believe me, friends, IMC creates a platform for not only networking, but also it creates a platform for you to scale up to a different level altogether. And yes, I'm sure, Vaibhav, with the kind of work you're doing at your organization, at Replay, I'm very, very sure that you will really do well. Thank you so much for having spared your valuable time today, Vaibhav. Thank you, Dr. Anish. I think you and your mom are something like one of the most reputed people we have around here. Anish has spared his really his valuable time, and he has explained us the various nuances of this subject, and explaining how he balances his double road, being a scientist on the science field and as well as business field, is something that we have really learned so much. He has explained about technology, how various aspects can be learned down, and we are very thankful to you, Anish, for being present here today and sparing your valuable time. Friends, once again, thanking all of you, all the participants today who have been a great listener here, and this session has been very, very enriching, and I have really learned so much here. Once again, thanks to all of you present here today, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.